This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be breaking down the cognitive function, introverted thinking, a deciding function or a judging function. It is on the axis with FE, so TIFE. We're going to be going over TI. I told you guys I'm gonna have some fun with this one. You know how I feel about the TI users. I really love the ENTPs and INTPs that really support the channel. They've been commenting pretty much every video, and I enjoy you guys coming with Mercer. This is correct or it's not correct. I love it. So tell me if this is correct to you guys. But you guys know how we're gonna do this. We're gonna play a clip from Dario Nardi, and then we're going to go over the notes that I've taken from several different sources. Only the best for you guys, you know. We go through these cognitive functions so that even if you're blind, deaf, and dumb, you can still figure out what introverted thinking is, okay? Even if you come from personality database, come on over here. Come on over here and join the mindset. But let's get into this. Let's go, Dario. You're up. Bring us home, Dario.
So now let's take a look at introverted thinking, what I call gaining leverage using a framework. And it's a thinking process. It has this objectivity that it's cultivating. Doesn't mean any of the thinking processes are perfectly objective, but they cultivate objectivity through a variety of means. Extroverted thinking is about, like points and measurements and timetables. Introverted thinking is more about having a framework, a model, a theory, a principle that is so powerful in its capacity to explain what's happening that the person is like almost empowered in any situation to be able to decode that situation and then potentially find the leverage point to solve the problem or make something happen in that situation. So let's get specific with a basic use.
You'll see the damn TI users when they were a kid taking things apart and putting it back together. Yeah, you little bastards.
Is about adhering to definitions and philosophical principles. Philosophical principle might be something like survival of the fittest or the golden rule. It could be that, keep it simple and stupid. There's a variety of principles that we could cultivate. Some of them more sophisticated than others. Right now we're working from certain principles as we explore these cognitive processes, and we have certain definitions. One is that we're saying they're processes. So this means if I introduce a word, if I say this person is a skillful sleuth, but I've defined these as being processes, what we mean is really that either the person prefers skillful sleuthing as a process, so we're unpacking, or we mean that this person is in a role of playing a skillful sleuth. And it might sound like we're getting very semantic and nuanced about it, and we are, but that nuance might have very practical consequences later on. For example, are you a type or do you have a type? And one of those is like deeply restrictive in a way. One is saying you have a type and therefore you are what you are, and it's very deterministic. If we say that you have a type, then that still gives you agency and awareness, and it's something that potentially you can shift and work with because it's not you, it's something you have in your hands or something you wear or something that suffuses you, but at least it's something you can work with and is a lot more empowering, and don't we want people to be empowered? So this is an example, sort of principle-based thinking. Some of that could be tied up with ethics. And we're not necessarily getting into ethics here.
So ethics is going to be attached to FE, okay? Remember I said TI and FE on the axis, so yes.
But we can have principles about ethics. Advanced use is about analyzing a problem or problems using a framework and finding an angle or leverage point by which to solve it. And this can be in a very abstract way, like, the economy is experiencing a lot of ups and downs in the past few years. What economical principle can we apply first to explain what's going on, like supply and demand, to step back from that and maybe ask, supply and demand of what? And exactly from whom and to whom? And then we'll see like, wow, okay. So for example, in economics, the government is printing a lot of money, so that completely shifts the situation so that it's very artificial. And it's not really supply and demand according to market principles, is supply and demand according to something different that's at a political level. So we're really talking about supply and demand of political power and political action. And then that takes us almost into a different framework, and we realize, oh, that the problem we're experiencing in the economy is not due to economic factors purely, but is actually due to political factors. And notice this word again, we're like shifting levels. We're identifying what kind of problem something is, and we're referring to some labels that we sort of assume people know, like what is market principle, what is supply and demand. And we're looking for leverage points. We're looking for where is the power point or the power level so that we can actually affect change and solve some problem. And that in and of itself for these folks can be very interesting to just define and explain. And if they get to the point of applying it is often used as a test to refine whatever it is that they're working on. Like, oh, my economic model didn't include political factors. Gee, I need to like step back and expand or rework my model a little bit, add an extra level to it.
Back to our old friend, the cartoon. Again, a group of pilgrims travels many months to visit a sage on a mountaintop. The pilgrims enter the temple and ask, what is enlightenment? And the sage replies, how do you define enlightenment? So this is very much asking us to
defining
tap the gifts of the skillful sleuth. Notice, yes, these are all questions, but this really question, and I mean that's really like it's trying to get us to not only go analytical and reflect, but to really get at the heart of something. So we can come up with some candidate answers and filter and combine and refine those to locate a best definition. And introverted thinking supposes that having a definition, or at least seeking one, engaging in that process, is essential. There's also different kinds of definitions if you think about it. So we could go to a dictionary definition. We can look in an actual dictionary and what does enlightenment mean? The state of being enlightened, the act or a means of enlightening. But that uses the word to define itself. That's not very helpful, although perhaps it says a bit about enlightenment. And then another dictionary definition is a philosophical movement of the 1700s that emphasized the use of reason to scrutinize previously accepted doctrines and traditions, and that brought about many humanitarian reforms. So that's again a little bit more specific. We might, in fact, do some research and find out, adding a little bit of introverted sensing. This is just where the sleuthing comes in. There are principles. Can we take that and come up with some kind of principle of enlightenment? Is it more than just a state of being? It's something that has very universal applicability and an awareness of all of the possible definitions and answers that we could give.
So let's get more into some of the strengths. Problem solving is really a key piece. So when we say it's a skillful sleuthing, this is both the skill part and the problem solving, and the sleuthing is this like, what's causing this problem? So with problem solving, it's not just putting a patch on it, it's really trying to discover what is the underlying issue that's causing the problem. In many ways, this is going to study a situation from different angles to fit it to a theory, framework, or principle. So they encounter a problem and they're like, what mental model do I have that explains the situation? Where does this fit in my framework of understanding? Another is that they're very good with complex analysis. They rely upon sophisticated, complex reasoning using multiple reasoning methods to objectively and accurately analyze problems. So this involves like deducing, defining, categorizing, weighing odds and risks, naming, navigating, labeling, engaging in some other techniques, like they have particular mental models that they know, they're going to apply those. They may know a whole domain, like game theory, for example, and apply game theory to the situation. Of course, that means you have to have some expertise, like what is game theory? You need to get into it. It can also be problem solving in a very practical sense, like hunting, for example, or navigating through an unfamiliar environment. What are the principles that we rely upon when navigating an unfamiliar environment? Well, we want to engage in a process called triangulation. So we're going to triangulate where we are based on 3 or more data points. That's what triangulation is about. So then what are our 3 data points? So see how this is like a deductive process, starting with the principle, this situation.
TI is deductive reasoning. They use syllogisms. We're going to go over those. I took a lot to go down because no one talks about it, and the community really struggles understanding what introverted thinking is. I don't care what they say. People be saying syllogisms all day long, and they miss that they are TI users. It's crazy.
This problem is one that fits into the category of being lost. Getting out of being lost or identifying where we are requires triangulation. You need to have at least 3 data points to do effective triangulation. Those data points should be aligned with each other in a certain good way, effective way. And then how do we identify those? So you see how like there's this arc of this reasoning process is very thought out. Clarity and accuracy. They tend to backtrack to clarify thoughts. So there really is this need. It's like, well, in this arc of thinking, am I really sure that we need 3 data points to do effective triangulation? Can we get away with 2? Will that be good enough in this situation to at least make sure we don't go in the completely wrong direction? Or maybe we actually need 4 or 5. In fact, let's study this even further, because maybe we can actually have any number of data points, but 3 is the optimal number. And 4 or 5 deliver what's called diminishing returns, and then we refer to this concept of diminishing returns. So there's this desire to correct and
my boy Christian loves that word, diminishing returns. Well, he loved busting that one.
Question mistakes. Also noticing inconsistencies. Well, you said in this other situation we needed 3, and now you're saying we need 5 data points. Why is that? So as a student, for example, they're learning something, they're like, why are you giving different information? And there may be a completely good reason for doing it, but they're asking because they want to get really clear on what it is that are the essential elements of this framework or this problem-solving method that they have. And as part of this, then they will tend to withhold the decision, or I don't even say a decision, like a final analysis or delivery of that until they feel they've come far enough along that they understand the problem. Mm-hmm. Some might even wait until they understand it perfectly, which could be like on their deathbed or afterward, and then they never get published or their idea never happens. Others who are more extroverted and rely upon this process as something that is, like a support process for them. They do the analysis a lot more quickly. It's a lot more contextual. They're not trying to find universal principles to everything all the time. They're more like, in this situation, what kind of problem-solving method applies? Let's like really poke at this in different ways, ask some really good questions, some probing questions, and that's going to help reveal like the understanding that we need in order to go forward, to make things clear. Like what are the logical points? Like maybe we can just organize this into some kind of matrix. So it can be done actually in a very fast way, or even in the background.
So he's talking about ESTPs and ENTPs there. They're gonna be able to rush TI out a lot faster because it's a supporting process.
Those with sensing and introverted thinking are often quite good at engaging the physical environment, like solving a problem, like they're working with a machine and they need to figure out how to fix the machine, or they're talking to somebody and they're making a business deal. And in the back of their mind, all the wheels are turning about like, what is the minimal like profit margin that I need, and what is a way I can maneuver in working with this person to get a little bit more out of them, or for us to get a little bit more out of the experience. All
right, so that's done for that. Guys, I'm gonna drop the Udemy courses in the bios if you guys want to go and check those out. There's 4 of them. The first one basically helps you find your type. The second one is about the cognitive functions and everything. The third one is about coaching and more hands-on approach, and the 4th one is the brain imaging and the more advanced level stuff. So I'd highly recommend it. But we're gonna go into our notes now. Thank you, Dario, for delivering. We knew you would deliver, Dario. Okay, so we're going over our introverted thinking notes here. Our sources are Dario Nardi, John Beebe, Linda Behrens, and Carol Shoemake. When John Beebe was given 3 words to describe the function. He used naming, defining, and understanding. The ultimate goal is understanding. Like, these people are, like he said, like, it could take forever for some of them to understand something, but that's what they're shooting for. They look to be correct. Okay, if you say something inaccurate around them, most of the time they will correct you or say that's not right. I mean, I love them, but you know, they're gonna hit you with that. Matter of fact, that data point that you looked at right there was wrong, and this is why it was wrong. It's like, fuck. Okay, god damn it. All right, what is it now? You know, you're like, especially when the INTP is going, you're like, what is it now? Oh, well, you know, if you want to be more accurate, you could have did this, or you know, or like if you say something inaccurate, they're gonna hit you. Okay, but the purpose of TI is to analyze a whole by dissecting into parts. Okay, they will analyze the whole by dissecting things into parts to come back. Okay, they seek to understand, look at underlying principles in the most neutral and objective way. See, these people are able to look at things in an objective way. TE and FI users will always tend to have some type of FI unconscious feelings on it. So even when I analyze something, I still have some FI on it, and I have to be aware of that. As when an INTP comes up or an ENTP, they can analyze, or ESTP, ISTP, they can analyze things in an objective way, detached from feelings as best they can. They're more likely to do that. And it kind of makes sense because they have lower FI, one being the trickster and one being the demon. So introverted thinking also seeks the most efficient way to express concepts verbally, so that it often defines and refines its terms in order to approach the ultimate truth with the greatest possible accuracy. Like we said, it's all about the accuracy here, to create the most efficient, most universal, applicable model of reality. Basic use pretty much that everyone has is to adhere to the definitions and philosophical principles. That's just the basic use. Okay, I'm pretty sure maybe even TI Trickster can do that. That's going to be in the 7th spot and the 8th spot. But the advanced user is going to be able to analyze a problem using a framework and find an angle or leverage by which to solve it. Okay, that's going to be the more advanced version. Not everybody can do that, or able to do it just rapidly. Okay, the role is to identifies underlying principles with inductive logic. Okay, inductive logic. Okay, no, that's wrong. It should be deductive logic here. That's wrong. It should be deductive logic. Inductive logic is TE. Damn, I wrote that wrong. Okay, it's deductive logic. That's wrong. Generally, through use of syllogism. Okay, a syllogism is an instant of form of reasoning in which a conclusion is drawn, whether validity or not, from 2 given or assumed propositions, premises, each of which shares a term with the conclusion and shares a common or middle term not present in the conclusion. Like, an easy way to see syllogisms is to notice the if this then that statements. Those are pretty basic level syllogisms, but we have the definitions of the other syllogisms as well. We're going to go over that. We want to make sure you guys could spot this. An example is all dogs are humans. All animals have 4 legs. Therefore, all dogs have 4 legs. Okay. Another example is all men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Those are syllogisms. That's a pretty basic one. Adopts the most detached and personal perspective. Critiques according to an internal framework. Looks for the holes in the logic in order to fill them. Continually refines the framework. Seeks to understand above all. These people are crazy about this. Okay, I mean, Albert Einstein, I don't know how long it took him to get his theory of relativity proven, but he was all about that, all that understanding of that pretty much his entire life. Okay, that's what these people are gonna do, especially INTPs. So we broke down the syllogisms. There's categorical syllogisms, there is conditionals, and there's disjunctive, and we got the syllogistic fallacies as well. Like I put that here. Be fucking careful with listening to some TI users. I've noticed fucking Andrew Tate does that. Okay, you gotta be careful with that shit sometimes. It makes in a little, sprinkling on a little bit of truth with some bullshit. Sounds good, tricks everybody. Okay, so let's go over this categorical syllogisms example. Okay, as we know, our first example about roses was a categorical syllogism. Categorical syllogisms follow a if A is part of C, then part B is part of C logic, okay? Let's look at examples of categorical syllogisms. All cars have wheels. I drive a car, therefore my car has wheels. A, major premise, all cars have wheels. B, minor premise, I drive a car. C, conclusion, my car has wheels. All insects frighten me, that is an insect, therefore I am frightened. Okay, you see that? Major premise, all insects frighten me. B, minor premise, that is an insect. Conclusion, I am frightened. Okay, that is categorical syllogisms, and we're going to go over conditional syllogisms. So, like we said, these, if you see people speak in these terms or use these terms, they are referring to TI. Okay, there's no reason why you should miss this shit, especially when you're trying to find someone's type. If you hear somebody keep saying this, if this and that, or if this, that, this, that, therefore, boom, you should be thinking TI. Okay. Conditional syllogisms follow a if A is true, then B is true pattern of logic. They're often referred to as hypothetical syllogisms because the argument aren't always valid. You got to be careful. Got to be careful with them. Sprinkle a little bit of truth, may not always be valid, okay? Sometimes they're merely an accepted truth, like these examples. Okay? Watch them. If Katie is smart, then she will get into a good college. Major premise, Katie is smart. Minor premise, because she is smart, Katie will get good grades. Conclusion, if Katie is smart, then she will get into a good college. Okay? If Richard likes Germany, then he must drive an Audi. If this, then that. You got me there, baby. Major premise, Richard likes Germany. Minor premise, Richard likes all German things. That's kind of crazy. That's a big leap there. Conclusion, if Richard likes Germany, then he must drive an Audi. Audis are German cars made in Germany. So, disjunctive syllogism examples. Disjunctive syllogisms follow either A or B if is true. If A is false, then B is true premise. They don't state if a major or minor premise is correct, but it's understood that one of them is correct. This cake is either red velvet or chocolate. Since it's not chocolate cake, it must be red velvet. Okay, either statement, this cake is either red velvet or chocolate. False premise, it's not chocolate. Conclusion, therefore, this is red velvet. Okay. Okay. Syllogistic fallacy examples. Some syllogisms contain false presumptions. A syllogistic fallacy happens when you make two general statements to validate a conclusion. For example, when you say all dogs are mammals, cats are mammals, therefore dogs must be cats. It's impossible to draw a conclusion based on the general premise you are making. Therefore, when you make an assumption based on general premises, you run the risk of making false assumptions. All crows are black. The birds in my cage is black. Therefore, the bird is a crow. Okay. Major premise. All crows are black. Minor premise. The bird in my cage is black. Conclusion. This bird is a crow. Okay. So let's get into the mental function. When using this mental function, a person may appear hesitant in speech with pauses to ensure accuracy. Like we said, and Dario said in the video, you know, these people want to make sure they're accurate when they say, and when they don't, they're going to give you a preference like, you know, I haven't finished reading this, or I don't have the experience in this, or I don't have the background in this. So they're going to let you know that, you know, there might be some inaccuracies to what they're saying. More into understanding the process than the results, deeper looks into things. So they want to know everything about it. Like I talked in the last video, I referenced Shelly and her boyfriend. Like Shelly and I will go to enough to make something work, and then after that we'll stop. But the TI users want to know everything about it, and when you do that, you're able to find a point of leverage and use that. Okay, as in ourselves, you know, it stops where we stop at. You know, needing to understand everything before committing to anything. Okay. Unimpressed by external rules and procedures. Okay, they are unimpressed by external rules and procedures. That's why I put parentheses, haha, to your credentials. They want the truth over everything. That's what TI wants. They don't really care about your credentials. They're all about the truth. Like, and they know just because you have credentials, because you have medals, just because you have titles, you may not always be factual, or you may just be stopping at a certain point. They can easily spot that shit. Okay, like I forget. I sent my buddy, he's an ENTP, some guy that I watched on YouTube for like supplements, and this guy was an INTJ, and he just shredded through everything that the guy was talking about, and I'm like, fuck, I can't watch this guy anymore. Now I don't even fucking watch his shit anymore. Okay, so that's what they can do. Critical and skeptic of quick solutions. Yeah, if you give them a quick solution, then probably most likely ain't gonna buy it. Misanthropic, dislike humankind and avoiding human society. So they can come off like that, like they dislike humankind and avoiding human society. That's because they have like FE inferior. Okay, they can come off that way. That's why it says may appear. Okay, so don't get me in the comments. Activities that may engage this mental function: asking questions about how everything fits together, creating a visual that represents the internal working of a dynamic system, evaluating the accuracy of a system or model or creating a new model, applying a principle or framework to a concept to field test its validity, engaging in a debate or critique a particular perspective and make it more accurate. Okay, they're gonna be all about, you know, like I said, they're all about making things more accurate. They're all about understanding. We get that. Don't really care too much about credentials because it's all about this understanding, and they can tell if you don't. Activities that might inhibit the mental function: demanding a quick question. Obviously, if you demand a quick question, they have to think on things. Okay, they're just not gonna rapid fire you some shit. Okay, they want to make sure it's accurate. Forcing consideration of only a partial problem rather than the whole problem. Obviously, they're gonna be like, "Yo, this ain't everything. Give me everything." Using sloppy language. Remember, they want to use concise language. Interrupting the mind's internal work. Obviously, they don't want you to interrupt them when they're thinking on something. So we're gonna go into when using TI, or they detach from a situation to analyze factors from various angles and leverage points. They are energized by analyzing challenging problems or technical puzzles. They enjoy tinkering with a specific problem by trying general approach or principle and then solving it by quickly analyzing the situation for the most expedient and efficient action to take. Analyzing may involve figuring out how a thing or system works in order to fix or improve it. They check for logical consistencies, clear definitions, and key principles that afford a clear understanding. They search for accurate words to describe and explain things sparingly, get into the essence of the issue or concept. They value this clarity as much as technical precision and judge most endeavors as missing the mark here. When presented with new ideas or data, they analyze and critique them to eliminate what doesn't fit with a principle. They tend to apply knowledge from their area of expertise. When asked to solve problems in other areas, they are skilled at stepping back, staying objective, and not overreacting. Life decisions are preferably based on objective principles. They may insist on fully analyzing a situation or problem and may become overly critical. They may also rigidly adhere to certain principles and models of what they see as logical, shutting out ideas that don't fit. Yeah, a lot of times if it's not logical, they're done talking to you. Like I said in the previous video, these people have the shortest window of listening to someone based off Dario Nardi's neuroscience research. Okay, as soon as you probably say something illogical, they're probably checking out. I'm being dead ass honest with you. INFPs have the longest time, and then behind that is ISFP. They can insist on complete accuracy and insist on being right, obviously. Feel the need to completely understand a concept before accepting it. Yeah, they're not going to accept anything until they fully understand it. That's why sometimes it could be 10, 15, 20 years if they're working on something that's highly abstract or something like that. In order to accommodate new ideas or information, needs to fit them into one existing framework. Okay. All information has to exist within that framework. Okay, it just has to work that way. Identifies the flaws in any concept, system, or philosophy. They're gonna point out anything. Like I said, like my brother, he would do that shit to me since I was a kid. Jared do that to me. Christian do it. It's like, hey man, what you think about this? Oh bro, this shit ain't gonna work. Here. I'm like, fuck. Okay, back to the drawing board. Come back again. Hey, what you think about this? Hey, I don't know about this right here. Boom, 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 boom. So it's been a great treasure to have them, but it has been quite annoying. Often plays a Socratic role, asking questions that allow others to find a solution. So they might play with you and help you find a solution. May warn others against listening to their feelings. Obviously, these people are very objective, low ass fi. So therefore, they're gonna warn you against listening to your feelings. Okay. Analog. We got the Dario Nardi yin and yang version. We got the analog, so that's going to be the active version and the systemist. Okay, active, focus, fix. The analytical brain, often in business, law, science, or technology, stubborn on principles, stick to a singular most worth framework that can explain everything, define precisely, provide expert logic and guidance, bring order to ideas, correct errors, poor thinking, and wrong approaches. Okay, and we have the systemist. That's going to be the more holistic one. So it's going to be receptive, diffuse, and flexible. Often in the arts, humanities, or social services, take multiple points of view, find patterns in chaos, notice how systems scale and apply principles in a fluid way. People, art, nature, and technology are all interrelated. Understand and find leverage in the messiness of life. That sounds more like ENTP-ish. Maybe ENTP-ish with the chaos there. Yeah, I'm gonna lean more on that ENTP-ish. But comment below which one you think you guys are. Are you the active version or are you the receptive version, and what's your type? I would like to know. And which one do you resonate more with? And for you TI users, tell me if I'm wrong here. Does this resonate with you guys? I dropped those syllogisms. I had to get those so that you guys can find those in people's speech. So when you hear it, if this, then that, or any of that, or therefore this, you can understand that these are TI users. And I'm telling you, I can sit at the fucking bar and I can be talking to somebody and I can just hear fucking TI statements sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's TI statement. But one of the friends that I go out with, Kyle, is an ENTP, so he's literally always dropping TI statements all the time. Yeah, let me know. And we'll be finishing off with FE, and then we're dealing with all of the cognitive functions. Like I said, if you guys want me to break down the interaction styles and temperament, I can do that for you guys as well. This channel is all about making you guys better at this. That's what my overall goal is. And like, comment, subscribe, and I am out.